This was the this was the dedication gift from the leaders of Israel from the altar when it was anointed. 12 silver dishes, 12 silver basins, and 12 gold bowls. Each silver dish weighed 3 1/4 pounds, and each basin 1 3/4 pounds. The total weight of the silver articles was 60 pounds, measured by the standard sanctuary shekel. The 12 gold bowls full of incense each weighed 4 ounces, measured by the standard sanctuary shekel. The total weight of the gold bowls was 3 pounds, and all the livestock and for the burnt offerings totaled 12 bulls, 12 rams, and 12 male lambs a year old, and their grain offerings, the 12 male goats for the sin offerings. All livestock for the fellowship sacrifice totaled 24 bulls, 60 rams, 60 male goats, and 60 male lambs a year old. That was the what this was the dedication gift from the altar after it was anointed. When Moses entered the tent of meeting to speak with the Lord, he heard the voice speaking to him above the mercy seat. This was on the ark of the testimony from between the two cherubims. He spoke to him that way. The lightning in the tabernacle. The Lord spoke to Moses, spoke to Aaron, and tell him when you get set him up the lamps and 7 lamps, or to give light in front of the lampstand. So Aaron did this. He set up its lamps to give light in front of the lampstands. Just as the Lord had commanded Moses, this is the way the lampstand was made. It was a hammered work of gold, hammered from its base to its flower petals. The lampstand was made according to the pattern of the Lord had shown Moses. The concentration of the Levites. The Lord spoke to Moses, take the Levites from among the Israelites and ceremonially cleanse them. Do this to them for their purification. Sprinkle them with the purification water. Have them shave their entire bodies and wash their clothes so purify themselves. They are to take a young bull and its grain offering in the floor mixed with oil, and you are to take a second young bull for a sin of offering, bringing the Levites before the tent of meeting and assemble the entire Israelite community. Then present the Levites before the Lord and have the Israelites lay their hands on them. Aaron is to present the Levites before the Lord as a presentation offering from the Israelites, so they may perform the Lord's work. Next, the Levites are to lay their hands on the heads of the bull's sacrifice, one as a sin offering and on the other as a burnt offering to the Lord, to make anointment for the Levites. You are to have the Levites stand before Aaron and his sons, and you are to present them before the Lord as a presentation of burning. In this way, you are to separate the Levites from the rest of the Israelites, so on the Levites will belong to me. After the Levites may come to serve as the tent of meeting, once you have ceremonially cleansed them and presented them as a presentation offering, for they have been exclusively assigned to me from the Israelites. I have taken them from myself in place of all who have come from first of the womb. Every Israelite born for every firstborn among you Israelites is mine. Both man and animal, I consecrated them to myself. So on that day I struck down every firstborn on the land of Egypt. But I have taken the Levites in place of every firstborn among the Israelites. From the Israelites I have given the Levites exclusively to Aaron and his sons to perform the work of Israel. I have given the Levites exclusively to Aaron and his sons to perform the work of the Israelites at the tent of meeting and to make atonement on their behalf, so that no plague will come against the Israelites when they approach the sanctuary. Moses, Aaron, and the entire Israelite community did this to the Levites. The Israelites did everything to them the Lord commanded Moses regarding the Levites. The Levites purified themselves and washed their clothes. Then Aaron presented them from before the Lord as a presentation offering. Aaron also made atonement for them to cleanse them ceremonially after the Levites came to their work at the tent of meeting in the presence of Aaron and his sons. So they did to them as the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites. The Lord spoke to Moses and regarding to the Levites from 25 years old or more. A man entered the service of in the work at the tent of the meeting, but at 50 years old he he is to retire from his service in the work and no longer serve. He may assist his brothers to fulfill responsibilities at the tent of meeting, but he must not do the work. This is how you are to deal with the Levites regarding their duties. The second Passover, in the first month of the second year after their departure from the land of Egypt, the Lord told Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, the Israelites are to observe the Passover at its appointed time. You must observe it as its appointed time on the 14th day of this month at twilight. You are to observe it according to all its statutes and ordinance. So Moses told the Israelites to observe the Passover, and they observed it in the first month on the 14th day at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai. The Israelites did everything as the Lord had commanded Moses, but there were some men who were unclean because of a human corpse, so they could not observe the Passover on that day. These men cannot come before Moses and Aaron the same day and said to him, "We are unclean because of a human corpse. Why would we be excluded from presenting the Lord's offerings at its anointed time with the other Israelites?" Moses replied to them, "Wait here, and until I hear what the Lord commands for you." Then the Lord spoke to Moses. They tell the Israelites, "When any of you or your descendants is unclean because of a corpse, or is a distant journey, he may observe he may still observe the Passover of the Lord. Such people are to observe it in the second month on the 14th day at twilight. They are to eat the animal with unleavened bread with bitter herbs. They may not leave any of it until morning or break any of its bones. They must observe the Passover according to the statutes. But the man who is ceremonially clean is not on a journey and yet falls to observe the Passover is to be cut off of the people because he did not present the Lord's offerings on its anointed time. The man will hear the consequences of his sin. If an alien resides with you and wants to observe the Passover of the Lord, he is to do it accordingly in the Passover statute and his ordinance. You are to apply the same statute to both the resident aliens and to native of the lands. Guidance by the cloud. On the day the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of the testimony, and it appeared like fire above the tabernacle from evening and morning. It returned the way continuously. The cloud would cover it, appearing like fire at night. Whenever the cloud was lifted up above the tent, the Israelites would set out at the place where the cloud stopped. Then the Israelites camped at the Lord's command. The Israelites set out, and the Lord's commands they camped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they camped. Even when the cloud stayed over the tabernacle many days, the Israelites carried out the Lord's requirements and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud remains over the tabernacle for only a few days. They would camp at the Lord's command and set out at the Lord's command. Sometimes the cloud remained only from evening until morning. When the cloud lifted in the morning, they set out, or if it remained a day at night, they moved out when the cloud lifted. Whether it was 2 days, a month, or longer, the Israelites camped and did not set out as long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle. But when it was lifted, they set out. They camped at the Lord's command, and they set out at the Lord's command. They carried out the Lord's requirement according to his commandment through Moses. Two silver trumpets. Two silver trumpets. The Lord spoke to Moses, make two trumpets of hammered silver to summon the community and have camps set out. When both are sounded in long blasts, the entire community is to gather before you at the entrance of the tent of meeting. However, if one is sounded, only the leaders, the heads of Israel's clans, are to gather together. When you sound short blasts, the camps pitched on the east are to set out. When you sound short blast the second time, the camp pitched on the sound are to set out. Short blasts are to be sounded for them to set out. When calling the assembly together, you are to sound long blasts, not short ones. The sons of Aaron, the priests, are to sound the trumpets. Their use of these is a permanent statute throughout your generations. When you enter into a battle of your land against an adversary who is attacking you, sound short blasts of the trumpet, and you will remember before the Lord your God and be saved from your enemies. You are to sound the trumpet over your burnt offerings and your fellowship sacrifices, and on your joyous occasions, your anointed festivals, in the beginning of each of your months. They will serve as a reminder for you before your God. I am the Lord your God. From Sinai to Param, during the second year in the second month of the 20th day of the month, the cloud was lifted up from above the tabernacle, and the testimony the Israelites traveled up on from the wilderness on Sinai, moving from one place to the next until the cloud stopped in the wilderness of Param. They set out on the first time according to the Lord's command through Moses. The military divisions of the camp of Judah's descendants under banner. They set out first. The Nahum son of Amiz and Amaz was on their division. Nathaniel son of Zuar was over the division of the tribe of Zachar's descendants, and Elijah's son of Helom was over the division of the tribe, and Zebulun's descendants. The tabernacle was taken down. The Gershonites and Merarites set out transporting the tabernacle. The military division of the camp of Reuben with their banners set out, and Elizai's son's children was over their divisions. Silmuel, son of Surishada, was over the division of the tribe of Simon's descendants, and Elisah, son of Duel, was over the division of the tribe of Gad's descendants. The Kohathites then set out, transporting the holy objects. The tabernacle was to set up before their arrival. Next, the military's division of the camp of Ephraim's descendants, with their banner, set out. Elisans of Amihud was over their divisions. Gamaliel, son of Pedahsud, was over the division of the tribe of Manasseh's descendants, and Adidan, son of Gideori, was over the division of the tribe of Benjamin's descendants. The military division of the camp of Dan's descendants, with their banners set out, serving as rear guard for all the camps, and Ahiezer, son of Umishadia, was over their divisions. Pigilon, son of Orchan, was over the division of the tribe of Ashur's descendants, and Ashur, son of Enan, was over the division of the tribe of Naphtali's descendants. This was the order from a march of the Israelites by their military division. As they set out, Moses said to Hobab, descendants of Reuel, and Midianite and Moses' relatives by marriage. No, Moses said to Hobab, descendants of Reuel and Midian and Moses' relatives by marriage, Ramuel, the Midian were setting out to the place the Lord's promise. I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will treat you well, for the Lord has promised good things to Israel. But he replied to him, I don't want to go instead. I will go to my own land and my relatives. Please, please don't leave us, Moses said. Since you know where we should camp in the wilderness, and you can survive as our eyes. If you come with us, whatever good the Lord does for us, we will do for you. They set out from the mountain of the Lord on a 3 day journey with the ark of the Lord's covenant traveling ahead of them. For those 3 days was to seek resting place to them. Meanwhile, the cloud of the Lord was over them by day when they set out from the camp. Whenever the ark set out, Moses would say, Arise, Lord, let your enemies be scattered, and those who hate you flee from your presence. When it came to rest, he would say to return, Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel, complaints about hardship. Now, the people began complaining openly before the Lord about hardship. When the Lord heard, his anger burnt, and the fire from the Lord blazed among them and some consumed the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down, so that the place that was named Taberah, because the Lord's fire had blazed among them. Complaints about food. The riffraff among them had a strong craving for other food. The Israelites wept again and said, He who fed us meat. We remember the free fish we ate at Egypt, along with the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlics. But now our appetite is gone. There's nothing to look at but this manna. The manna resembled coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of obdeli. The people walked around and gathered it. They grounded it on a pair of grinding stones and or crushed it in a mortar, then boiled it in a cooking pot, and then shaped it into cakes. It pasted like a pastry cooked. It tasted like a pastry cooked with the finest oil. Then the the dew fell on the camp at night, and the manna would not fall with it. Would fall with it. Moses heard the people, family after family, weeping at the entrance of their tents. The Lord was very angry. Moses was also provoked. So Moses asked the Lord, Why have you brought such trouble to your servant? Why are you angry with me? And why do you burden me with all these people? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth so you should tell them, Carry them at your breasts as a nanny carries a baby? So the land that you swore to give their fathers, that I can, I can, where I can meet to give all the people, for they are weeping to me. Give us meat to eat. I can't carry all the people by myself. They are too much for me. If you are going to treat me like this, please unalive me right now. If I have found favor with you, don't let me see my misery anymore. 70 elders anointed. The Lord answered Moses, Bring me 70 men from Israel, known to you as elders and officers of the people. Take them to the tent of meeting and have them stand there with you. Then I will come down and speak with you. I will take some of the Spirit who is on you and put the Spirit on them. They will help you bear the burden of the people so that you do not have to bear it by yourself. The people, tell the people, consecrate yourselves in readiness for tomorrow, and you will eat meat because you wept in the Lord's hearing. He who will feed us meat. When we were better off in Egypt, the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat. You will eat. You will eat not for 1 day or 2 days, or for 5 days, or 10 days, or 20 days, but a whole a whole month until it comes out of your nostrils and it becomes nauseous to you because you have rejected the Lord who is among you and wept before him. Why did we ever leave Egypt? Why did we ever leave Egypt? But Moses replied, but I'm in the middle of of people with 600,000 foot soldiers, yet you say, I will give them meat and they will eat for a month. If flocks and herds were slaughtered for them, would they have enough? Or if all the fish of the sea were caught for them, they would have enough. The Lord answered to Moses, the Lord answered to Moses, is the Lord's arm weak? Now you will see whether or not what I have possessed will happen to you. Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord. He brought 70 men from the elders of the people and had them stand around the tent. When the Lord, when the Lo- no, when the Lord descended in the descended on the cloud and spoke to him, took some of the spirit that was on Moses' head and placed the spirit on the 70 elders. As the spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but they never did it again. The two men had remained in the camp, one after Elad and the other Medad. The Spirit rested on them. They were all among those listed, but had not gone out of the tent. And they prophesied in the camp. A young man ran and reported to Moses, Edad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. Joshua, son of Nun, assistant to Moses since his youth, responded, Moses, my lord, stop them. But Moses asked them, are you jealous of my account? All the Lord's people, if only all the Lord's people were prophets, and the Lord would place his spirit on them. Then Moses returned to the camp along with the elders of Israel. Quail in the camp. The wind set out, and the Lord came up and blew quail in from the seat. It dropped them all around the camp. They were flying 3 feet off the ground for about a day journey in every direction. The people were up all in the day and night, and all the people and all the next day gathering the coil. The one who took the least gathered 50 bustles. They what? No. They were flying 3 feet off the ground for about a day's journey in every direction. The people were up all that day and night in all the next day gathering the quail. The one who took the least gathered 50 bushels, and they spread them out all around the camp, while the meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed. The Lord's anger burned against the people, and the Lord snuck them with very severe plagues. So they named the place Kibroth Hatava, and because they were buried, they buried the people who had craved the meat from Kobroth and Ba Bathoth. The people moved onto Hazeroth and remained there. Wow. Miriam and Aaron rebel. Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses because of the Cushite women he married. They said, "Does the Lord speak only through Moses? Does he also have speak through us?" And the Lord heard it. Moses was a very humble man, but so more but more than so anyone on the face of the earth. Suddenly the Lord said on Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, "You three come out of the tent of meeting." So that the three of them went out. Then the Lord descended to a pillar of cloud, stood on the embrace of the tent, and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When the two of them came forward, he said, "Listen to what I say. For when there is a prophet among you from the Lord, I make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with a servant, with not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my household. I speak with him directly, openly, and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord." So why is he not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? The Lord angered, burnt against them, and he left. What? So why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? The Lord angered, burnt against them, and he left. As the clouds moved away from the tent, Miriam's skin Rudolph became diseased, resembling snow. When Aaron turned towards her, he saw that she was diseased, and said to Moses, "My Lord, please don't hold against us the sin we have so foolishly committed. Please don't let her be like a dead baby whose flesh is half eaten away when he consumes out of his mother's wombs." Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "God, please heal her." The Lord answered to Moses, "If her father had merely spit up in her face, wouldn't he remain in disgrace for 7 days? Let her be confined outside the camp for 7 days. After that, she may be brought back in." So Miriam was confined outside of the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move out until Miriam was brought back in. After that, the people set out from Hazoth and camped in the wilderness of Param, scouting out Canaan. The Lord spoke to Moses, sent men to scout the land of Canaan. I am giving you, I am giving to the Israelites sent out one man who is a leader among them from each of their ancestral tribes. Moses sent them out from the wilderness of Pharaoh, and the Lord commanded all the men were leaders in Israel. These were their names: Shammua, son of Zakur, from the tribe of tribe of Reuben; Shaphat, son of Hori, from the tribe of Simeon; chief son of Shempus, from the tribe of Judah; Igal, son of Judah. Okay, these are just. Oh wow, it keeps going. There were the names of the men who Moses went to scout the land, and Moses renamed Hoshea, son of Nun, Joshua. When Moses sent them to scout out the land of Canaan, he told them, "Go up this way to the Negev, and then go up in the hill country. See what the land is like, and when the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many, is the land they live in good, or it's good or bad? Are the cities they live in encampments or fortifications? Is the land fertile or unproductive? Are there trees in it or not? Be courageous. It's giving back some fruit from the land. It was the season for the first ripe grapes. For the first ripe for the first rank grapes, when they went up and scorned in the land from the wilderness of Zin as far as Zehod, near the entrance of Hanan. They went up through the Negev and came to Hebron, where Ahim, Shishish, and Talmi, the descendants of Anak, were living. Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. When they came to the valley of Vishos, they cut out down a branch with a single cluster of grapes, which was carried on a pole of two men. They also took some pomegranates and figs. The place was called the Valley of Eshol because of the cluster of the grapes of the Enosh cut out there. At the end of the 40 days, they returned to the scouting of the land. Report about Canaan. When men went back to Moses and Aaron and the entire Israelite community of the wilderness of Pharaoh and Kadesh, they brought back a report for them and the whole community as they showed them the fruits of the land. They reported to Moses, we went to the land where you sent us. Indeed, it is flowing with milk and honey. It is flowing with milk and honey, and here is some of its fruits. However, the people living in the land are strong, and the cities are large and fortified. We also saw the descendants of the Anak were there, and the Amalekites are living in the land of Negev. The Herethites and Jebusites and Ammonites live in the hill country. And the Canaan lives in the sea along with the Jordan. The caliphs requited the people of the presence of the Moses and said, "Let's go up now and take possession of the land because we can certainly conquer it." But the men who had gone up with him responded, "We can't attack the people because they are stronger than we are." So they gave a negative report to the Israelites about the land that they have scouted. "The land we have passed through the explorer is one that devours its inhabitants, and the people we saw it in all are all men of great size. We even saw the Nephilim there." Huh? The descendants of Anak came from the Nephilim. What the hell? No way. No way. According to Moses was a giant? That's crazy, man. The land we passed through to explore it on what on the to explore is one that devours its inhabitants, and all the people we saw in all the men in great size. We even saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak came from the Nephilim. To ourselves we seemed like grasshoppers. We must have seemed we must have seemed the same to them. Whoa. Israel's refusal to enter Canaan. No way. There were still giants when Moses was around? No way. Like like a like Attack on Titan? That's crazy. Israel's refusal to enter Canaan. Then the whole community broke into loud cries, and the people wept that night. All the Israelites complained about Moses and Aaron. All the whole community told them, "If only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we had died in the wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into the land to die by the sword? Our wives and children will come plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt?" So they said to one another, "Let's appoint a leader and go back to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron fell face down in front of the whole assembly of the Israelite community. Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who scouted out the land, tore their clothes and said to the entire Israelite community, "The land we passed through and explored is an extremely good land." There. Ah. The land we passed through and explored is an extremely good land. If the Lord is pleased with us, we will bring us into the land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and give it to us. But don't rebel against the Lord, and don't be afraid of the people of the land, for we will devour them. Their protection has been removable from them, and the Lord is with us. Don't be afraid of them. While the whole community threatened to stone them, the glory of the Lord appeared to all the Israelites at the tent of the meeting. God's judgment of Israel's rebellion. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will these people despise me? How long will they not trust in me despite all the signs I have performed among them? I will strike them with a plague and destroy them. When I when then I will make you into a greater and mightier nation than they are." But Moses replied to them, "Ugh, no, ah, excuse me. And despite all the signs I have performed among them, I will strike them with a plague and destroy them. Then I will make you into a greater and mightier nation than they are." But Moses replied to the Lord, "The Egyptians will hear about it from the strength you have brought up this people about theirs. They will tell it to the inhabitants of this land. They have heard it that you, the Lord, are among these people, how you, Lord, have seen face to face, how your cloud stands over them, how you go over them in a pillar of cloud. They by in a cloud them in a pillar of cloud day by day, in a pillar of cloud of fire by night. If you wow, how you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and in a pillar of fire by night. If you kill the people with a single blow, the nation that have heard of your fame will declare, "Since the Lord wasn't able to bring this people into the land and swore it to give them, he has slaughtered them in the wilderness. So now, may my Lord's power be magnified, just as you have spoken. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding by faithful love, forgiving inquiry and rebellion. But he will not leave the guilty unpunished, bringing the consequences of the father's iniquity of the children into third and fourth generations. Please pardon the inquiry of the people in keeping with the greatness of the faithful love, just as you have forgotten them from Egypt until now." The Lord responded, "I have pardoned them as you requested, yet you surely say that I live as the whole earth is filled with the Lord's glory. Wow, none of the men who have seen my glory and the signs I've performed in Egypt and in the wilderness and have tested me these 10 times. You did not obey me. Will you ever see the land I swore to give their fathers? None of those who have despised me will see it. But since my servant Caleb has a different spirit and has remained loyal to me, I will bring him into the land where he has gone, and his descendants will inherit it. Since the Amalekites and Canaanites are living with are living in the lowlands, turn back tomorrow and head to the wilderness in the direction of the Red Sea. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, how long must I endure this evil community that keeps and then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, how long must I endure this evil community that keeps complaining about me? I have heard the Israelites' complaints that they make against me. Tell them, Lord, as surely as I live, this is the Lord's declaration. I will do to you exactly as I heard you say. Your corpse, your corpses will fall in the your corpses will fall in the wilderness. All of you who were registered in the consensus of the entire number of the 20 years old or more, because you have complained about me, I swear that none of you will enter the land I promised to settle you in, except Caleb's sons of Juphin and Joshua, son of Nun. I will bring your children, whom you have would become plunder, into the land of you rejected, and they will enjoy it. But as far as you, your corpses will fall in the wilderness, your children will be shepherds of the wilderness for 40 years and bear the penalty of your acts of unfaithfulness until your corpses like scattered in the wilderness. You will bear the consequences of your iniquities 40 years based on the numbers of your iniquities. 40 years based on the number of 40 days that you scouted the land, a year of each. You will know my pleasures. I, the Lord, have spoken. I swear that I will do this in the entire evil community that has conspired against me. They will come to an end in the wilderness, and there they will die. So the Moses sent to so then so the Moses so the men Moses sent to scout out the land, and who returned and incited his entire community to complain about him by spreading a negative report about the land. Those men who spread the negative report about the land were struck down by the Lord. Only Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, remain alive. Of those men who went to scout out the land, Israel returned. Then Moses reported, these were all of the Israel people who were overcome with grief. Then when Moses reported those words to all the Israels, the people were overcome with grief. They got up early the next morning and went up in the fridge of the hill country, saying, let's go to the place the Lord promised, for we were wrong. But Moses responded, why are you going against the Lord's command? It won't succeed. Don't go because the Lord is not among you, and you will not be defeated by your enemies, the Amalekites and Canaanites, and right in front of you, and you will fall by the sword. The Lord won't be with you, since you have turned from following them. But they dared to go up in the bridge of the hill country, even though the ark of the Lord's covenant and Moses did not leave the camp. Then the Ammonites and Canaanites who lived in part of the hill country came down, attacked them, and routed them as far as the Hormah. Laws about offerings. The Lord instructed Moses, speak to the Israelites and tell them, when you enter the land I am giving you to settle in, and you make the fire offering of the Lord of the herd of the flock, either a burnt offering or a sacrifice to fulfill a vow, or as a freewill offering, or at your anointed festivals to produce a pleasing aroma for the Lord. The one oppressing his offering to the Lord is also a present again, an offering of two quarts for the fine flour with a quart of oil. Prepare a quart of wine as a drink offering with the burnt offering to sacrifice each lamb. If you prepare a grain offering with a room, it is to be 4 quarts in flours mixed with a third of gallon oil. Also presented a third of a gallon of wine for a drink offering as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If you prepare a young bull as a burnt offering, as a sacrifice of full vow, as a fellowship offering to the Lord, a grain offering of 6 quarts, or a fine flour mixed with 2 quarts or of oil is to be presented with the bowl, as present 2 quarts of wine as a drink offering. It is a fire offering or pleasing aroma to the Lord. This is done to each ox or lamb or goat. This is how you are to prepare each of them, no matter how many. Every Israelite, every Israelite is to prepare these things in this way when he presents a fire offering as a pleasant aroma to the Lord. When an alien resides with you, or someone else is among you and wants to prepare a fire offering as a pleasing aroma to the Lord, he is to do exactly as you do throughout your generations. The assembly is to have the same stature of both you and the resident alien as a permanent statue throughout your generations. You and your aliens will be like alike before the Lord. The same law and the same ordinance will apply to both you and the aliens who resides with you. The Lord instructed Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, after you enter the land where I am bringing you, you are to offer a contribution to the Lord when you eat from the food of the land. Of you are to offer a loaf from your first batch of dough as a contribution offer is just like a contribution offer is just like a contribution from the threshold floor throughout your generations. You are to give the Lord a contribution from the first batch of your dough. When you sin unintentionally and do not obey all these commands that the Lord spoke to Moses, all the Lord has commanded you through Moses from the day the Lord issued the commands and onward throughout your generations, and if it was done unintentionally without the community's awareness, his entire community is to prepare young bulls for bowl of burnt offerings as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. This is the grain with its grain offering, drink offering, according to the regulation, and one male goat as a sin offering. The priest will make the descendants atonement for the entire Israel community, so that they may be forgiven. For the sin was unintentional. Yeah, the sin was unintentional. They are to bring their offering when made by the fire Lord and their sin offering before the Lord of their unintentional sin. The entire Israel community and the alien who resides among them will be forgiven, since it happened to all the people unintentionally. If one person sins unintentionally, he is to present a year-old female goat as a sin offering. The priest will then make atonement before the Lord on behalf of a person who acts in error, sinning unintentionally, and then he makes atonement for him. He will be forgiven. You are to have the same law for the person who acts in error, whether he is an Israelite or an alien who resides among you. But the person who acts defiantly, whether native or resident alien, blasphemes the Lord's the people, the person is to be cut off from his people. He will certainly be cut off because he has despised the Lord's word and has broken his command. His guilt remains on him. Sabbath violation. While the Israelites were on the wilderness, they found a man gathered wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathered wood brought him to Moses, Aaron, and on the entire community. They placed him in custody because it had not been decided what should be done to him. When the Lord told Moses the man is to be put to death, the entire community is to stone him outside the camp. The entire community brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death, as the Lord had commanded Moses. The task goes for resemblance. The Lord said to Moses, what the hell? Oh, I don't care. was this? Uh, excuse me. Okay, tassels for resemblance. Tassels for resemblance. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them that throughout their generations they are to take tassels for their corners of their garments and put a blue cord on the tassels in each corner." Okay, one moment, guys. One moment. Tablets of resemblance. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them that throughout their generations they are to make tab tassels for the corners of their garments, and put a blue cord on the tassels of each corners. They will serve as tassels for you to look at, so that you may remember the Lord's commands and obey them, and not prostitute yourself by following your own heart and your eyes. This way you will remember and obey all my commands and be holy to your God." What the hell? "I am the Lord your God, and who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God." Korah incites rebellion. Now, Korah, son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, with Dathan and Iram, son of Eli, and own son of Peleth, sons. Oh my God, this is a whole hierarchy. Son of 250 promised Israelite men who were leaders of the community and representatives of assembly, and they rebelled against Moses. They came against Moses and Aaron and told them, "You have gone too far. Everyone in the entire community is holy, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt your slaves above the Lord's assembly?" Then Moses heard this. He fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will reveal who belongs to him, who is set apart, and the one he will let come near him. He will let the one he chooses come near him. Korah, you and all your followers are to do this. Take fire pans, and tomorrow place fire in them and put incense in them before the Lord. Then the man the Lord chooses will be one who is set apart. It is you, Levites, who have gone too far." Moses also told Korah, "Now listen, Levites, isn't it enough for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the Israelite community and to bring you near to himself, to perform the work of the Lord's tabernacle, and to stand before the community to minister to them? He has brought you near, and all your fellow Levites who are with you, but you are pursuing the priesthood as well. Therefore, it is you and all your followers who have conspired against the Lord. As for Aaron, who is he, that you should complain about him?" Numbers 16. Moses 12. Moses sent to Dath and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, "We will not come. It is not enough that you brought us up from a land flowing with milk and honey to unalive us in the wilderness. Did you also have to anoint yourself as a ruler over us? Furthermore, you didn't bring us to the land flowing with milk and honey to give us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you gouge out the eyes of these men? We will not come." Then Moses became angry and said to the Lord, "Don't disrespect their offerings. I have not taken one donkey from them, or ministered on a single one of." Oh my God. Then Moses became angry and said to the Lord, "Don't disrespect their offerings. I have not taken one donkey from them or mistreat a single one of them." So Moses told Korah, "You and all your followers are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, and Aaron, they, and Aaron. Each of you is to take his fire pan, place incense on it, and present his fire pan before the Lord. 250 fire pans. You and Aaron are each to present your fire pans also. Each man took his fire pans, placed fire in it, but put incense on it, and stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting along with Moses and Aaron. After Korah assembled the whole community against. Each man took his fire pan, placed fire in it, put incense on it, and stood at the entrance. Get out. Okay. Yay. Whoa. Hell yeah. Wow. Wow. Busy, busy. Anyways, pretty cool. Each man took his fire pan, placed fire in it, put increase on it, and stood at the entrance of the tent of melting along with Moses and Aaron. After Korah assembled the whole community against them, in the entrance of the tent of the melting of the glory of the Lord appeared to the whole community. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Separate yourselves from this community, so I may consume them instantly." But Moses and Aaron fell face down and said, God, who gives breath to all, the man, when one man sins, will you vent your wrath on the whole community? The Lord replied to Moses, "Tell the community, get away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of the Israelites followed him. He warned the community, "Get away now from the tents of these wicked men. Don't touch anything that belongs to them, or you will be swept away because of all their sins." So they got away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Meanwhile, Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrance of their tents with their wives, children, and infants. Then Moses said, "This is how you will know that the Lord sent me to do all these things, and that it is not of my own will. If these men die naturally, as all people would, and suffer the fate of all, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something unprecedented, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them along with all that belongs to them, so that they go down alive and into Sheol, then you will know that these men has despised the Lord." It's just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground beneath them split open, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households and Korah the people and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol and all that belonged to them. The earth enclosed over them, and they vanished from the assembly at their cries. All the people of Israel who were around them, were around them. All the cries and all the people of Israel who were around them fled because they thought, the earth may swallow us too. Fire also came out of the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were presenting the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, tell Eleazar son of Aaron, the priestess, to remove the fire palms from the burning debris because they are holy, and scatter the fire far away. As for the fire pans of those who sinned at the cost of their their own lives, make them into hammered sheets as planting for the altar, for they presented them before the Lord. And the fire pans are holy; they will be assigned to the Israelites. For the priest Eleazar took the bronze fire pans, and those who were burnt had presented, and they were hammered into planting of the altar, just as the Lord commanded him. Both Moses, it was to be remembered that the Israelites had no unauthorized person into the lineage of Aaron should approach and offer incense before the Lord, and became like Korah and his followers. The next day, the entire Israelite community, the next day, the entire Israelite community. What? The next day, the entire Israelite community complained about Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have unalived the Lord's people." When the community assembled against them, Moses and Aaron turned towards the tent of meeting, and suddenly the crowd covered it, and the Lord's glory appeared. Moses and Aaron went to the front of the tent meeting, and the Lord said to Moses, "Get away from this community, so that I may consume them instantly." But they fell face down. Then Moses told Aaron, "Take your fire pans, place fire from the altar in it, and add incense. So go quickly in the community and make atonement for them, because wrath has come down, and the Lord has come down from the Lord. The plague has begun." So Aaron took his fire pan, and Moses had ordered, ran into the middle of the assembly, and saw the plague had begun among the people. After he added incense, he had made atonement from the people. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague had halted. But these who died from the plague numbered 14,700, in addition to those who had died because of the Korah incident. Aaron then returned to Moses at the entrance at the tent of meeting, since the plague had been halted. Aaron's staff chosen. The Lord instructed Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and take one staff from them of each ancestral tribe, 12 staffs from all the elders of their tribes. Write each man's name in his staff. Write Aaron's name on Levi's staff, because that there is to be one staff for the head of each tribe. Then place them in the tent of meeting in front of the testimony where I met you. The staff of the man I chose will sprout and will the staff of the man I chose will sprout, and it will rid myself of Israelites' complaints that they have been making about you." So Moses spoke to the Israelites for each one of the leaders of their tribes. 12 staffs in all. Aaron's staff was among them. Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. Then the next day Moses entered the tent of the testimony and saw that Aaron's staff represented the house of Levi, had sprouted, formed bud blossoms, and produced almonds. Moses then brought out of the staff from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites. They saw them, and each man took his own staff. The Lord told Moses, "Put Aaron's staff back in front of the testimony to keep it as a sign of the rebels, so that you may put an end to their complaints before me, or else they will die. So Moses did as the Lord commanded them. Then the Israelites declared to Moses, "Look, we're perishing. We've lost. We're all lost. Everyone who comes near the Lord's tabernacle will die. We will perish." Provisions for the priesthood. The Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your ancestral family will be responsible for inquiry against the sanctuary. You and your sons will be responsible for inquiry involving your priesthood, but also bring your relatives with you from the tribe of Levi, your ancestral tribe, so that they may join you and assist you and your sons in front of the tent of the testimony. They are to perform duties for you and for the whole tent. They must come near the sanctuary equipment and the altar, otherwise both they and you will die. They are to join you and to guard the tent of meeting, doing all the work at the tent, but no unauthorized person may come near you. You are to guard the sanctuary, and the altar of the wrath may not fall on the Israelites again. Look, I have selected your fellow Levites from the Israelis as a gift. As a gift. You're okay. Look, I have selected your fellow Levites from the Israelites as a gift to you, assigned by the Lord to work at the tent of meeting. But you and your sons will carry out your priestly responsibilities for everything concerning the altar and for what is inside the curtain, and that you will not do that work. I am giving you the work of the priesthood as a gift. But an unauthorized person who comes near the sanctuary will be put to death. Support for the priests and the Levites. When the Lord spoke to Aaron, "Look, I have put you in charge of the contributions brought to me. As for the holy offerings of the Israelites, I have given them to you and your sons as a portion of the permanent stature, a portion of the holiest offerings kept from the fire. Fire will be yours. A portion of the holiest offerings kept from the fire will be yours." Wow, what did they say? When the Lord spoke to Aaron, "Look what I have put you in charge of the contributions brought to me of all of the holy offerings of the Israelites. I have given them to you and your sons as a portions of a permanent statute. A portion of the holiest offerings kept from the fire will be yours. Every one of the offerings that they give me, whether the grain offering, sin offering, or guilt offering, will be the most holy for you and your sons. You are to eat it as the most holy offering. Every male may eat it. It is to be holy to you." No thanks, bro. My head. Okay, I got a headache. "The contribution of their gifts also belongs to you. I have given all the Israelites presentation offerings to you and to your sons and daughters as a permanent statute. Daughters as a permanent stature. Every ceremonial clean person in your house may eat it. I am giving you all the best of the fresh oil, new wine, and grain, which the Israelites give to the Lord as their first fruits. The first fruits of all that is in their land, which they brought to the Lord, belong to you. Every clean person in your house may eat them. Everyone in Israel that is permanently dedicated to the Lord belongs to you. The firstborn of every living human being, every living thing, human or animal, presented to the Lord belongs to you. But you must certainly redeem a human firstborn and redeem the firstborn of an unclean animal. You will pay the redemption price for a month-old male according to your assessment. 5 shekels, the silver of a standard sanctuary shekel, which is Uh, okay. I got a headache. I don't know what these headaches are. You must certainly redeem a human firstborn and redeem the firstborn of an unclean animal. You will pay the redemption price for a month old male according to your assessment 5 shekels of silver, the standard sanctuary shekel, which is 20 gerahs. However, you must not redeem the firstborn of an ox, a slave. However, you must not redeem the first shekel born of an ox, a sheep of a goat. They are holy. You are to splatter their blood on the altar and burn their fat as a fire offering for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. But their meat belongs to you. It belongs to you like a breast of the presentation offerings in the right high. I gave to you and your sons and daughters all the holy contributions to the Israelites present to the Lord as a permanent statute. It is a permanent covenant to assault before the Lord for you as well as your offspring. The Lord told Aaron, "You will not have an inheritance in their land, and will be no portion among them for you. I am your portion and your inheritance among the Israelites. Look, I have given the Levites every tenth in Israel as an inheritance in return to the work they do to work the work of the tent of meeting. The Israelites must never again come near the tent of meeting. They will incur guilt and guide. The Levites will do work of oil." The Levites will do the work of the tent of meeting be and will bear the consequences of their inquiry. The Levites will revive in inheritance among the Israelites. This is a permanent statute throughout your generations. For I have given them the tenth of the Israelites present to the Lord as a contribution for their inheritance. That is why I told them that they would not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. The Lord instructed Moses, "Speak to the Levites and tell them, when you receive from the Israelites in the tenth, and I have given." Get out. Uh-oh. Another headache. The Lord instructed Moses, "Speak to the Levites and tell them, when you receive from the Israelites the tenth that I have given you as your inheritance, you are to present part of it as an offering to the Lord. A tenth of the tenth, your offering will be credited to you as if it were your grain from the thresholding floor, floor of the full harvest from the wine's press. You are to present an offering to the Lord. Every human tenth you receive from the Israelites." I have no right to do this, but guys, the fact that God gave us a letter is pretty cool. Aaron, as an offering to the Lord, you must present the entire offering due to the Lord from all your gifts. The best part of the tenth is to be constructed. Tell them further. Once you have presented the best parts of the tenth, and it is credited to you Levites as the as the produce of the threshing floor of the wine press. Then you and your household may eat it anywhere. It is your wage to return to your work. At the tent of meeting, you will not incur guilt because of it once you have presented the best part of it, but you must not defile the Israelites' holy offering you will not die so that you will not die. Purification ritual. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the legal statute. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron. This is the legal statute that the Lord has commanded. Instruct the Israelites to bring you an unblemished red cow that has no defect and has never been yoked. Give it to the priest Eleazar, and he will have it brought outside of the camp and slaughter it in his presence. The priest Eleazar is to take some of its blood with his fingers and sprinkle it 7 times towards the front of the tent of the meeting of the cow. It's to be burned in its side. Its hide, its flesh, and blood are to be burned along in its waist. The priest is to take cedar wood, seals, and crimson yarn, and to throw them into the fire where the cow is burning. The priest must wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. After that, he may enter the camp, but he will remain ceremonially unclean until evening. The one who burned the cow must also wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and he will remain unclean until evening. The man who is clean is to gather up the cow's ashes and deposit them outside the camp in a ceremonially clean place. The ashes will be kept by the Israelite community for preparing the water to remove impurity. It is a sin offering. Then the one who gathers up the cow's ashes must wash his clothes and will remain unclean until evening. This is the permanent statute for the Israelites and an alien who resides among them. The person who touches any human's corpse will be unclean for 7 days. He is to purify himself. He is to purify himself. The he is to purify himself with the water on the 3rd day and the 7th day, when he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on the 3rd and 7th day, he will not be clean. Anyone who touches the body of a person who has died and does not purify himself defiles the tabernacle of the Lord. The person will be cut from Israel. His remains unclean because the water for impurity has not been sprinkled on him, and his uncleanness is still in him. Whoa. This is the law when a person dies in a tent. Everyone who enters a tent and everyone who is already in the tent will be unclean for 7 days. And any open container without There is the law when a person dies in a tent. Everyone who enters the tent, and everyone who is already in the tent will be unclean for 7 days. In any open container without a lid tied to its unclean. Anyone in the open field who touches a person who has been unalived by the sword or has died, or who even touches a human bone or a grave, will be unclean for 7 days for the purification. The unclean person there are to take some of the ashes of the burnt sin offerings, put them in a jar, and add fresh water to them. A person who is clean is to take hyssop, hyssop, dip in the water and a person who is clean, dip in the water and sprinkle the tent. All the furnishing and the people who were there. He is also sprinkled. The one who touches a bone, a great corpse, or a person who had been unalive, the one who is clean is to sprinkle the unclean person on the third day of the seventh. The one who is clean is to sprinkle the one who is clean is to sprinkle the unclean person on the third day and on the seventh day. After he purifies the unclean person on the seventh day, on the one being purified must wash his clothes and bathe in water, and he will be clean in the evening. But a person The one who is clean is to sprinkle the clean person on the third day and the seventh day. After he purifies the unclean person on the seventh day, and the one being purified must wash his clothes and bathe in water. The and he will be clean by evening. But a person who is unclean and does not purify himself, that person will be cut off from the assembly because he has defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water for impurity has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. He is a permanent stature for them. The person who sprinkles the water for impurity is to wash his clothes, and whoever touches the water, the and whoever touches the water. This is a permanent stature for them. The person who sprinkles the water for impurity is to wash his clothes, and whoever touches the water for impurity will be unclean until evening. Anything that the unclean person touches will become clean, and anyone who touches it will be unclean until evening. Water from the rock. The entire Israelite community entered the wilderness of Sin in the first month, and they settled in Kadesh. And Miriam died and was buried there. There was no water for the community, so they assembled against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses and said, "If only he had perished when our brothers perished before the Lord. Why have you brought the Lord's assembly into this wilderness for us and our livestock to die here? Why have you led us up from Egypt to bring us this evil place? It's not a place of grain, figs, vines, and pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly of the doorway to the doorway of the tent of the meeting. They fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Take the staff and assemble the community. You and your brother Aaron are to speak to the rock while they watch, and it will yield its water. You will bring out water from the rock and provide drink from the community and their livestock. So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he had commanded him, and Aaron summoned the assembly it from the rock. And Moses said to them, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring water out of the rock for you?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his staff, so that ambient water gushed out, and the purity and the community and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me to demonstrate my holiness in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this assembly into the land I have given you. There are the waters of Meriab. There where the there are the waters of Meriab where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord, and He demonstrated His holiness to them." Damn, really. Edom's denies passage. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. "This is what your brothers Israel said. You know all the hardships that have overtaken us. Our fathers went down to Egypt, and you lived in Egypt many years." Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. All right. All right. We are going to read how Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. This is what your brothers of Israel said. You know the hardships that have overtaken us. Our fathers went down to Egypt, and we lived in Egypt many of years, but the Egyptians treated us and our fathers badly. When he cried out to the Lord, he heard our plea and sent an angel and brought us out of Egypt. Now look, we are in Kadesh, our city on the border of your territory. Please let us travel through your land. We won't travel through any field or vineyard or drink any well water. We will travel the King's Highway. We won't turn to the right or the left until we have traveled through their territory. But Edom answered him, You will not travel through your land. Oh, shit. No. Uh, you will go to the main road, Israel replied to them, and we will meet. You will not travel through the land, and we will come out of your of and confront you with the sword. We will go to the main road. And Israel replies to them, If we were if we were on our herds, drink your water, and we will pay its price. There will be no problem with us to travel with through the foot. There will be no problem on only let us travel through on foot. Yes, Edom insisted, You may not travel through, and they came out of the and they came out to confront them. Numbers 20 to 21. With a large force of heavily armed people, Edom refused to allow Israel to travel through their territory, and Israel turned away from them. Aaron's death. After they set out for Kadesh, the entire Israel community came to Hauntamor. What the hell? The Lord said to Moses and Aaron at Mount Hor on the border of the land of Edom, Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land I have given the Israelites because you both rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar and bring them up Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's garments and put them in his son Eleazar's. Aaron's will be gathered to his people and die there. So Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they climbed Mount Horizon, the sight of the whole community. After Moses renounced Aaron's garments, they put them in his sons Eleazar. Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. Then the whole community saw that Aaron had passed away. The entire house of Israel mourned for him 30 days. Canaanite king defeated. When the Canaanite king of Arad. What the hell? When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming from Arab, That's cool. I'm sure. That sucks. Canaanite king defeated. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in Por eso traje la cena yo. Ahora, exactamente. No, Okay, guys, are we still live? Um, Hello, welcome, welcome. Okay, so Canaanite king defeated. When Canaanite king of Arab, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming to the Atid road, he fought against Israel and captured some prisoners. Then Israel made a vow to the Lord: if you will hand his people over to us, he will completely destroy their cities. The Lord listened to Israel's request and handed on the Canaanites over to them, and Israel completely destroyed them and their cities, so they named the place Hormad, the bronze snake. Then they set out from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to bypass the land of Edom, but the people became impudent because of the journey. The people spoke against God and Moses. Why have you led us from Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread or water, and we detest this wretched food. Then the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and they hit them so that many Israelites died. The people who came to Moses said, we have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Intercede with the Lord that he will take the snakes away from us. And Moses in said, intercede for the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, make a snake image in the mount of the pole. When people who is bitten looks at it, he will recover. He will recover. So Moses made a bronze snake and mounted it on a pole. Whenever someone was bitten and he looked at the bronze snake, he recovered. The journey around Moab, the Israelites sent out. The Israelites sent out of the camp of Obod, and they sent out from Obod and the camped at Abram and the uh, ah. Shut up. Okay, we need to focus. We need to recalibrate our brain after. All right, guys, we're gonna recalibrate our brain. We're feeling a little dizzy with some headaches, but that is fine. That's fine. So, journey around Moab. The Israelites sent out and camped on Ohod. They set out. They set out from Ohod and camped out at Libyan in the wilderness of the borders Moab on the east. There they sent out, camped at Zered. They sent out. From there they went and camped at Zered Valley. They set out from there and camped on the other side of Armon River in the wilderness that extends from the Amorite border, because the Arnon was the Moab border between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore, it is stated that the book of the Lord's wars. Therefore, it is stated that the book of the Lord's wars. Waheb in Supav. the Navis in Aron, and where the slopes of the ravines that extended in the side of Ar and lie around the border of Moab. From there they went to Beer. From there they went to Beer. The well the Lord told Moses about gather gather the people so I may bring them water. Then Israel sang the song. Spring up well, sing to it. The princes dug the well. The nobles of the people hollowed it out with a scepter, with their staffs. With their staffs, they went from the wilderness to Matah, from Matanath and Naphtali, from Naphtali to Bahom, from Bahom to the valley in the territory of Mahob near the Pisgah highlands that overlooked the wastelands. Amorite kings defeated. Israel sent passengers to say the king Shion of the Amorites, let us travel through your land. We won't go into the fields or vineyards. We won't drink any well water. We will travel the king's highway until we have traveled through your territory. But she known would not let Israel travel through his territory. Instead, he gathered his whole army. Not let Israel travel through his territory. Instead, he gathered his whole army and went out of Conhert instead of the wilderness. the whole army went out to confront Israel in the wilderness. When he came to Shahaz, he brought against Israel. Israel struck him with the crowd and took possession of the land and from the Armon to the Jabok, but only up in the Ammonite border because it was fortified. Israel took all the cities. Israel took all the cities and lived in all these Amorite cities, including Heshbon and all of its surrounding villages. Heshbon was the city of the king of Shihon and the Amorites who had fought against the former king of Moab and had taken control of all his land as far as Arnon. Therefore the poets say, "Come to Heshbon, let it be rebuilt, let the city of Shihon be restored, for fire came out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Shihon. It constructed Ar of Moab, the citizens of Arnon's heights. Woe to you, Moab! You have been destroyed, people of Chemosh. He gave up his sons as refugees and his daughters into captivity to Shihon, the Ammonite king." Not get, the Ammonite king. He threw them went down. Heshbon has been destroyed as far as Dibon. What caused desolation as far as Nohab, which reaches as far as Medeba. So Israel lived on the Amorites' land. After Moses sent spies to Jazer, Israel captured in surrounding villages and drove out Amorites who lived there. Then they turned and went up the road of Bashan. The king of Omesh came out against them, the whole country, to the battle at Erder. But the Lord said to Moses, "Do not fear him, for I have handed him over to you, along with his whole country and his land. Do to his land, do to him as you did to King Shihon and Amorites who live in Heshbon." So they struck him, his sons, and his whole army, until no one has left. And he took possession of his land. Balak hires Balaam. The Israelites traveled on and camped in the plain of Moab near the Jordan, across from Jericho. Now Balak, son of Zippor, saw that all the had Israel had done in the Amorites. Moab was terrified. Moab was terrified of the people because they were numerous, and Moab dreaded the Israelites. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will devour everything around us like an ox, eat up the green plants in the field." Since Balak, son of Zippor, saw Moab king at time, he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, and at Pithor, which is by the Europeans in the land of this people. Balak said to him, "Look, a people has come out of Egypt. They covered the surface of the land, and the living across from me. Be please come and put a curse on these people." Ah, what the hell? Since Balak, son of Zippor, was Moab, kings at the time, he sent message to Balaam's sons of Beor at Pethor, which is by the Euphrates in the land of his people. Balak said to him, "Look, a people came out of Egypt. They cover the surface of the land and are living right across from me. Pe- please come and put a curse on these people for me, because the Ah! Since Balak son of Zippor was Moab's king at the time, he sent the messengers to Balaam's son of Beor at Pethor, which is by the Ephrates in the land of his people. Balak said to him, "Look, a people come out of Egypt. They cover the surface into land. They are living right across from me."
Fer, dijo tu papá que si querías las papas.
Okay.
Yara.
Okay. Moab's kings at that time. He sent the messengers to Balaam's son of Peor at Bethor, which is by the Euphrates in the land of the people. Balak said to him, "Look, out of uh, the people have come out of Egypt. They cover the surface of the land and are living right across from me. Please come and put a curse on these people for me because they are more powerful than I. I may be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land, for I know that those who bless you bless are blessed and those you curse are cursed." The elders of Moab and Midian departed with fees of divination in hand. They came in Balaam and reported uh, and reported the and reported Balak's words to him. He said to them, Spend the night here, and I will give you the answer of the Lord tells me. So the officials of Moab stayed with Balaam. The god came to Balaam and asked, Who are these men with you? Balaam replied to God, Balak's son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent his message to me. Look, a people have come out of Egypt, and they cover the surface of the land. Now come put a curse on them for me. I may be able to fight against them and drive them away. Then God said to Balaam, You are not to go with them. You are not to curse his people, for they are blessed. So Balaam got up the next morning and said to Balak's officials, Go back to the land, because the Lord had refused to let me go with you. The officials of Moab arose, returned to Balak, and reported, Balaam refused to come with us. Balak sent officials again, who were more numerous and higher in rank than the orders. They came to Balaam and said to him, This is what Balak's son Zippor said to you, Let nothing keep you from coming to me, for I will greatly honor you and do whatever you ask me. So please come and put a curse on these people for me. But Balak responded to the servants of Balak, If Balak were to give me a full house. Numbers 22 to 23. Damn. Okay, we got some ways to go, Numbers. Numbers. Dang, we got 36. Okay, I see you, Numbers. Of silver and gold. I could not go up against the command of the Lord my God, or do anything small or great. Please send here overnight, as the others did, so that I may find out what else, what else the Lord has to tell me. God came to Balaam at night and said to him, Since these men have come to summon you, get up, go with them, but you must only do what I tell you. When you got up in the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and went with the officials of Moab. Balaam's donkey and the angels. What? Balaam's donkey and the angels. God was incensed, and that Balaam was going, and the angel of the Lord took his stand on the path to opposite him. Balaam was riding his donkey, and his two servants were here with the servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel, and the Lord saw on the path with the drawn sword of his hand, she turned off the path and went into the field. So Balaam hit her with to return her in the path on the path. Then the angel of the God stood in the narrow passage between the vineyards, with the stone wall on each side. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord and pressed herself against the wall, squeezing Balaam's foot against it. So he hit her once again. The angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn on the right or left. When the donkey saw the angel on the Lord, she crouched under Balaam, so he became furious to beat the donkey with a stick. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she asked Balaam, What have I done to you, that you have beaten me in these 3 times? Balaam answered the donkey, You made me look like a fool. If I had a sword in my hand, dang, the donkey said, Am I not the donkey you've ridden all your whole life until now? Have I treated you this way before? No, he replied. Then the Lord reported to Balaam's, Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the path with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam knelt low and bowed in worship on his face. The angel of the Lord asked him, Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I came out of to oppose you because I consider what you are doing to be evil. The donkey saw me and turned away from me. These 3 times, if she had not turned away from me, I would not unalived you by now and let her live. Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, do for I do not know that you were standing in the path to confront me. And now if this is evil in your sight, I will go back. Then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, Go with the men, but you are to stay only what I tell you. The Balaam went with Balak's officials. When Balak heard that Balaam was commanding, he went out to meet him in the Moabite city of the Aaron brother of the edge of his territory. Balaam asked Balaam, I did not send you an urgent summons. Why didn't you come to me? Am I really not able to reward you? Am I really not able to reward you? Balaam said to him, Look, I have come to you, but can I say anything I want? I will speak only the message God puts in my mouth. So Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kedah, Hizu. Balak sacrificed and cattle, the sheep and goats, and sent for Balaam the officials who were with him. In the morning, Balak took Balaam and brought him to Balak's battle. From there, he was the outskirts of the people's camps. Balak's oracles. When Balaam went to Balak, build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 builds to serve me rams for me. So Balak did as Balaam directed, and they offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, Stay here by your burnt offerings while I am gone. Maybe the Lord will meet with me. I will tell you. I will tell you whenever he reveals to me. So he went to a barren hill. God met with him, and Balaam said to him, I have arranged 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram, each on each altar. Then the Lord God put a message in Balaam's mouth and said, Return to the Balak and say what I have told you. So he returned to Balak, who was standing there by his burnt offerings with all the officials of Moab. Balaam's first oracle. Balaam proclaimed his poems. Balak brought me from Aram, the king of Moab, from the eastern mountains. From the eastern mountains. Come put a curse on Jacob for me. Huh? Come put a curse on Jacob for me. Come denounce Israel. How can I curse someone? God has not cursed. How can I denounce someone the Lord has not denounced? I see them from the top of the rocky cliffs, and I watch them from the hills. There is a people living alone. It does not consider itself among the nations. Who has counted the dust of Jacob, or numbered even 1/4 of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright. Let the death of my life be like theirs. What have you done to me? Balak asked Balaam. I brought you to curse my enemies, but look, you have only blessed them. He answered, Shouldn't I say exactly what the Lord puts in my mouth? Balaam's second oracle. Then Balaam said to him, Please come with me to another place where you can see them. You will only see the outskirts of their camp. You won't see all of them. From there, put a curse on them for me. So Balak took him to Lookout Field on the top of Pisgah, built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram for each altar. Balaam and Balak, stay here by your burnt offerings while I seek the Lord over there. He returned to Balak, who was standing there by his burnt offerings with the officials of Moab. Balak asked him, What did the Lord say? Balaam proclaimed his poem. Balak, get up and listen. Son of Zippor, pay attention to what I say. God is not a man that he might lie, or a son of man that he might change his mind. Does he speak or not and not act? Does he speak and not act, or promise and not fulfill? I have indeed received the command to bless, and since he has blessed, I cannot change. He considers no disaster for Jacob, as he in trouble for Israel. The Lord their God is with them, and there he rejoiced over the king among them. God brought them out of Egypt. He is like the thorns of a wild ox for them. There is no magic curse against Jacob, and no divination against Israel. It is it will now be said about Jacob and Israel that the great things God has done. A people will rise like a lioness. They arouse themselves like a lion. They will not lie down until they devour the prey and drink the blood of the slain. Then Balak told Balaam, "Don't curse them and don't bless them." But Balaam answered him, "Didn't I tell you, whatever the Lord says I must do?" Balaam's third oracle. Again, Balak said to Balaam, Balak and Balaam. What? So one's an angel and one's a donkey. Who's the angel? I'm reading too fast, guys. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Wow. I know there was an angel. Again, Balak said to Balaam, "Remember, come, I will take you to another place. Maybe it will be agreeable to God that you can put a curse on but maybe it will be agreeable to God that you can put a curse on them for me." So Balak took Balaam on top of the pier which overlooks the wasteland. Balaam told Balak, "Build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 bowls." No. Ah. Balaam told Balak, "Build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me." So Balak did as Balaam said and ordered a bull and a ram on each altar. Since Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he did not go to seek omens as on previous occasions. He turned towards the wilderness. When Balaam looked up and saw Israel escape tribe by tribe, the Spirit of God came on him, and he, may the Spirit of God come in this house, and he proclaimed his poem. May the Spirit of God come to this house. The oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, the oracle of the man whose eyes are open. The oracle of one who bears the sayings of God, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who falls into the trance of his eyes uncovered. How beautiful are the tents, Jacob, your dwellings, Israel. Ah. They stretch out like river valleys, like gardens beside the stream, like aloes of the Lord has planted, like cedars besides the water. What the hell? They stretched out like river valleys, like gardens besides a stream, like aloes the Lord has planted, like cedars besides the water. Water will flow from his buckets, and his seats will be by abundant waters. His king will be greater than Agag, and his kingdom will be exiled. Welcome, guys. So God brought him out of Egypt. God brought him out of Egypt. He is like the horns of a wild ox for them. He will feed an enemy's nations and gnaw their bones. He will strike them with his arrows, his crouches. He lies down like a lion or a lioness who dares to rouse him. Those who bless you will be blessed, and those who curse you will be cursed. Then Balak became furious with Balaam, stuck his hands together, and said to him, I summoned you to put a curse on my enemies, but instead you have blessed them these 3 times. But now go to your house. Now go to your home. I said I would reward you richly, but look, the Lord has denied you a reward. Balaam answered Balak, didn't I previously tell the messengers you sent me, if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I would not go against the Lord's commands. To do anything good or bad of my own will. I will say whatever whatever the Lord says. Now I am going back to my people, but first let me warn you what these people will do to your people in the future. Balaam's fourth oracle. Then he proclaimed his poem, the oracle of Balaam son of Beor, and the oracle of the man whose eyes are opened, the oracle of one who hears the saying of God and has knowledge from the Most High, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who falls into a trance with his eyes uncovered. I see him, but not now. I perceive him, but not near. A star will come from Jacob, and a scepter will arise from Israel. He will smash the forehead of Moab and strike down all the Sethrites. Edom will become a possession. Edom will become a possession. Seir will become a possession, and its enemies, but Israel will be triumphant. One who comes from Jacob will rule. He will destroy the city's survivors. One who comes from Jacob will rule. He will destroy the city's survivors. And Balaam saw Amalek and proclaimed his poem. Amalek was first among the nations, but his fortune is destruction. Wow. Amalek was first among the nations, but his fortune is destruction. Whoa. Next he saw the Kenites and proclaimed his poem. Your dwelling place is enduring your nest and is set in the cliff. Cain will be restored when Ashur takes you captive. One more he proclaimed his poem. Who can live when God does this? Ships will come from the coast of Kittim. They will carry out raids against Ashur and Eber, but they too will come to destruction. Balaam then arose and went back to his homeland, and Balak also went his way. Israel worships Baal. While Israel was staying in the Assyria Grove, the people began to prostitute themselves with the women of Moab. The women invited them with the sacrifice of their gods, and the gods ate. And the woman invites them on the sacrifice for their gods, and the people ate and bowed their worship to their gods. So Israel aligned itself with Baal and Peor, and the Lord's anger burnt against Israel. The Lord said to Moses, so Israel aligned itself with Baal or Peor, and the Lord's anger burned against Israel. The water said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people and execute them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that his burning anger may turn away from Israel. So Moses told Israel's judges, unalive each other for nope. Okay, my head hurts. There. Oh, hell no. Worship. Israel's worship. While Israel was staying in Arcadia Grove, the people began to prostitute themselves on. While Israel was staying in the Arcadia Grove, the people began to prostitute themselves with the women of Moab. The women invited them to the sacrifice for their gods, and the people ate and bowed in worship to their gods. So Israel aligned itself with Baal and Peor, and God's anger burned against Israel. Really? The Lord said to Moses, "Take all the leaders and all the people and execute them in broad day." What? Before the Lord, so that his burning anger may turn away from Israel. What? So Moses did Israel's judges, unalived each other. What? What? Unalived each of the men who aligned themselves with Baal. Apparently, too violent. Phineas intervenes. An Israelite man came from the Midian with bringing a Midian woman to his relatives in the sight of Moses and the whole Israel community while they were weeping at the entrance at the tent of meeting. When Phineas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he got up from the assembly and took a spear in his hands, followed the Israelite man into the tent, and drove it in both of the Israelites' mans and the woman. What? Through the belly. These are the plagues of the Israelites was thought, but those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. Damn, but those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. Damn. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, has turned back my wrath from the Israelites because he was zealous among them with my zeal, so that I do not destroy the Israelites in my zeal. Therefore I declare I grant him my covenant of peace. I will be a covenant of perpetual priesthood for him and his fortune descendants, because he was a zealous for his God and made atonement for the Israelites. The name of the slain Israelite man who snuck dead of the midnight woman was Simir, son of Salu, the leaders of Simeon's family. The name of the slain Midian woman was Cosbi, the daughter of Zur, a tribal head of a family in Midian. Vengeance against the Midianites. The Lord told Moses, "Attack the Midianites what? And strike them dead, for they attacked you with the treachery that they used against you in the Peor incident. They did the same in the case involving what? Involving their sister Cosbi, a daughter of the Midianites, leader who was unalive the day the plague came to Pur. The second, ah, the second consensus. Give me. After the plague, the Lord said to Moses and Israel, son of Aaron, the priest, take a consensus on the entire Israelite community for their ancestral families of those 20 years or more who can serve in Israel's army." So Moses and the priest Eleazar said to them in the plans of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, "Take a consensus of So Moses, the priest Eleazar said to them in the plains of Moab on the Jordan across from Jericho, "Take a consensus of 20-year-olds or more." And as the Lord had commanded Moses and the Israelites who came out of the land of Egypt, Reuben was the firstborn of Israel. Reuben's descendants, the Hancock clan of Hanok, the Palu clan of Palu, all these clans. It's like, damn. Of the chosen by the community who brought up against Moses and Aaron. They and Korah's followers fought against the Lord. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them with Korah. When his followers died and the fire consumed 250 men, they served as a warning sign. The sons of Korah, however, did not die. Simon's descendants by their clans, and Methu clans from Nimrod, and all these clans. Okay. By the men of 40,500. Judah's sons included Aaron and Onan, but they died in the land of Canaan. Judah's descendants by their clans. Okay, all these clans. Oh my God, they keeps. Wow. 30. Wow. Okay, we get it. There's a lot of clans. Holy crap, another page full of clans. Holy crap. The Lord spoke to Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses, the land of okay. The Lord spoke to Moses, the land is to be divided among them as an inheritance based on the number of names. Increase the inheritance for a large tribe and decrease it for a small one. Each is to be given its inheritance according to those who were registered in it. The land is to be divided by lot. They will receive an inheritance according to the names of their ancestral tribes. Each inheritance will be divided by a lot among the larger and smaller tribes. They were the Levites registered by their clans. Okay. Guna was the ancestor of Aram. Oh my god. Wow, there's so many names here, guys. Whoa. They were the ones registered by Moses and the priest Eleazar when they registered the Israelites in the plants of Mo. Okay, 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 okay. Okay. For the Lord had said to them, they would all die in the wilderness. None of them was left except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. Case of daughters' inheritance. The daughters of Zelophehad approached Zelophehad, was the son of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of. Okay, we keep going with the. Wow, this is like the fourth page probably of just sane descendants. Joshua commissioned to succeed Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go up in this mountain in the range and see that the land that I have given the Israelites after you have seen it, you will also be guaranteed by your people." And Aaron, your brother, was when the community. Jo, Jo, no. Thank God. Yay. After you have seen it, you will also be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother was, when the community called the wilderness of Zin. Both of you rebelled against my command and demonstrated my holiness at the sight of the waters. Those were the waters of the. Okay. Okay, we keep saying names, guys. We keep saying names. So Moses applied to the Lord. May the Lord, the God, who gives breathes to all, anoint a man over the community who will go out before them and come back in before them, and who will bring them out and bring them in, so that the. Oh, what the hell? Man. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break, guys. We're gonna take a break. Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. So the Lord applied to the Lord, may the Lord, the God who gives breath to all, anoint a man over the community who will go out before them and come back in before them, and who will bring before them out and bring them in. So the Lord's community won't be like sheep. So the Lord's community won't be like sheep without a shepherd. The Lord replied to Moses, take Joshua, son of Nun, a man who has a spirit in him, and lay your hands on him. Have him stand before the priests that are in the whole community, and commission him to their sight. Confer to your authority on him, and the entire Israelite community will obey him. He will stand before the priest Eleazar, who will consult the Lord for him in the decisions of whom he had all the Israelites with him. Even the entire community will go out and come back in the command. Moses did as the Lord commanded him. He told Joshua, had him stand there before the priest, and Eleazar and his entire community laid his hands on him in the commission he, as the Lord had spoken through Moses. Okay, prescribed offerings. Wow. Prescribed offerings. The Lord spoke to Moses, command the Israelites and say to them, be sure to present me to at its anointed time my offerings and my food as a fire offering, a pleasing aroma to me, and say to them, this is Lord spoke to Moses, commanded the Israelites, and say to them, be sure to present to me at its appointed time my offerings and my food as the fire offerings, a pleasing aroma to me, and say to them, this is the fire offerings you are to present to the Lord. Okay, we're gonna stop at 28, guys.